UFC 280 is just around the corner, and it's probably one of, if not the biggest card of the year. So we're going to give you our predictions today. Make sure you comment down below who you think is going to win each fight. So let's start with the main event. We have Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira for the vacant lightweight belt. Mark, what is your prediction for this fight?
Islam Makhachev by finish. I think he's going to finish Charles Oliveira. Reasoning behind it, I think you can say that he's fought cans and that all you want. So have I. I've been guilty of that before. Charles has been caught by everyone in his previous 3 fights. I've gone against Charles in his previous 3 fights, and I've been forced to eat my words. But I think it's going to be 4th time lucky for this time, and I think Islam's going to get it done. Maybe even a knockout, maybe not just submission, because every time Charles goes to the floor, no one wants any part of that. Islam will be there all day and twice on Sunday. What do you think?
So I'm going the complete opposite. I'm going to go Charles Oliveira by knockout. I think probably maybe the 3rd round. I think Islam Makhachev gets caught a lot when he's level changing, and I think Charles Oliveira is going to take advantage of that. I think as Islam's making the level change, he's going to get caught while on his knees. Because if you notice, whenever he makes a takedown attempt and fails it, he just clings onto that single leg as much as possible while on his knees. And I think Charles is going to take advantage of that during the level change. So do you think it's going to be, what kind of finish? You think it's going to be a knockout? You think Islam will beat Charles Oliveira on the feet?
I'm going to go a bold prediction. I think it's going to be a stand-up war. And I think it could even be a round 1 knockout for Islam.
Wow.
I know that's bold to say, but I think it really is possible, especially if Charles, because if he comes forward like he did in the Gaethje fight, I think Islam's going to be ready for him and he's going to be able to put a beating on him. I don't think we're going to get a grappling match, contrary to what I was just saying about that Islam's going to be there for it all day if it needs it, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're right in that sense, because a lot of times we get grapplers against grapplers and they often get into that first exchange and realize they can't really do too much to each other. So it's just more of a hunt for control time, and that's not really enough to be winning a championship fight. You have to hopefully get a finish. So I think you're right. I think if it comes into a grappling match, they'll neutralize each other and we'll end up surprisingly getting a kickboxing match. But that's where I think Islam will flounder. I think, yes, Charles does get dropped quite often, but I think he uses that in some sense. He puts himself in danger to get people to drop into his guard. Whereas I feel here, his kickboxing is probably slightly better than Islam Makhachev's. So I think that's where he's going to get the win. Yeah.
Well, that leads us on to the co-main event for the bantamweight title. We've got Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw. Now, Dwayne, what do you think of that? What's your prediction for that
fight? Well, yeah, Druggy Dillashaw. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think I'm going to go TJ Dillashaw by decision. And the reason I'm going for that is I feel like TJ is just too well-rounded. I think he's probably a better striker than Aljamain, but I don't think he's a better grappler. But I think he's got quite good takedown offense. I think it's like 86% or something like that. So I don't imagine Aljamain's going to manage to get him down, and I don't think he's going to submit him. So I think he's going to grind him through and get that decision win. Because when Aljamain fought Petr Yan, you know, there was no chance of submission. He kept attempting it, but no luck. And he mostly won due to control time. And I just don't think he's going to be able to do that to TJ. Not that I want TJ to win, in all honesty. You know how I feel often about, people who abuse PEDs and cheat and things like that. But unfortunately, I just think he's probably going to get the win. What about you, Mark?
That's a fair call. And to be honest with him, we're going the exact opposite again. I think Aljamain is going to submit TJ. And I think he's going to do it fairly early on, to be honest. I think ring rust might be a factor. We've seen TJ come back once against Corey Sandhagen, which could have gone either way. Since his suspension, he's come back, did that fight last year. And then I think he got injured or something, didn't he? And now he's come back to fight the champion, Aljamain, who's been grinding away whilst TJ has been off finding a vein. You know what I mean? And Aljamain has proved that he can he can hang with the best. Obviously he got a fluke win when he won the title. He's beat Corey Sandhagen in the past. He beat Petr Yan earlier this year in, again, a very close fight. But I think this competition has stepped up whilst TJ has been away. No disrespect to Corey Sandhagen there, but I think Aljamain might just be a couple of steps in front of TJ. And I think he's going to be able to take him down. I think he's going to get the submission win because he's great on the ground. He's a great grappler, is Aljamain.
Yeah, Aljamain really is a good grappler. But I don't think Dillashaw's ever been submitted in his whole career. So I think that's where your prediction might flounder a little bit. But I mean, that's the thing with these events, you never know what's going to happen. It's always so exciting. And I think you're right about Corey Sandhagen. Is no offense to him, but when he was fighting TJ, it was really close. He bust all his eye up, but Corey Sandhagen was headhunting too much. He was hungry for that knockout. And I don't think Aljamain will do that. I don't think he'll headhunt. He'll go for a grind. So it's a difficult one. It's really difficult. But talking of difficult choices and fights, there's a very interesting one with Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan, which is likely to be a number one contenders match for the title. I'm not necessarily saying that Sean O'Malley deserves a title shot or even Petr Yan because he's lost 2 already to Aljamain. So if TJ wins, that might open it up. But Mark, what is your prediction for Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan?
Well, I've been thinking about this quite a bit, Dwayne, and I've actually gone back on myself on my original prediction. I think, now you might giggle, I think Sean O'Malley is going to knock Petr Yan out. I know that's, I'm hunting for the finishes on this card. I honestly, I think the length, the reach, the height of him, I think that's going to come into play. And I think Petr is just because, I'm not saying just because of his height, but he likes to fight inside the pocket. I know he's one of the best boxers that there is on the entire roster, but I think Sean's going to be able to keep him at a distance and come out fierce. He's going to come out, with a spinning kick sort of thing. And I can just imagine Petr getting caught. I don't really want to say what round, but I think there's going to be a finish.
Wow. I did not expect you to say that at all. I really, really didn't. And I somewhat agree, actually. I think a lot of people are talking about Petr Yan as though he's this seasoned vet. He's only a year older than O'Malley, and he's lost to Aljamain Sterling when he's put under that pressure. And I'm actually going the same as you, Mark. I think Sean O'Malley is going to beat Petr Yan, but I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I think it's going to be by decision. And I agree, it seems a very obvious choice. Oh, he's tall. He's so much taller than Yan. He's got all this reach, but it really does come into effect. I know everyone says, oh, well, he beat Corey Sandhagen, but Corey Sandhagen did not use his reach. He did in the first round, which he beat Petr Yan in. And then after that, again, he was headhunting. He was looking for a knockout, throwing random flying knees out of nowhere. Whereas I think Sean O'Malley is a high enough leveled striker. I really do think he is. And I think we're going to get a really, really interesting fight. And I wonder if Sean O'Malley can shock the world. So do you think that there is some risk there still for Sean O'Malley because of Petr Yan's, great striking abilities? He's obviously shown that he can fight at a high level. Look how he dominated Aldo, which was shocking to see.
100%. And what you were saying there, where Corey Sandhagen headhunting, Sean O'Malley does that as well with the people he's fought formerly. Now, I know he's come out and says, I'm going to knock Petr Yan out, but he's going to say that, isn't it? He isn't going to say, I'm going to come out and keep him at range and just, do what I do. Because he's going to say, he's going to promote it. I think he's going to be so much more careful. Not so much to get a decision, otherwise that would be going back on my prediction. But I think he's just going to keep him more at range, just tick away at him throughout until he creates a lot of damage. And again, to answer your question, I don't think Sean's going to come out of this without a mark on him at all. Petr Yan is so good. But I don't know, when you just believe, you want to believe and you think, this is a real possibility. I can picture him getting the win here. And then, you never know. Whoever wins this fight could really shake up and, like you said, go for a number one contender spot, go for the title next.
Definitely. And it's so exciting, is it? Because, I know you're not even a huge fan of Sean O'Malley, but it's that excitement of what if he can win, doesn't it? It's what it'll throw that division up, and I can just imagine how shocked the MMA world will be. And I think you're right about Sean O'Malley. I think we got a hint of that more careful O'Malley when he fought Pedro Munhoz, because I know he technically lost that round, but when I've gone back and watched that first round, you see he was actually being super patient and he was checking nearly all of those kicks that Pedro Munhoz was throwing. You think if he comes out like that with Petr Yan, he might get the win. But either way, I'm incredibly excited for this fight. But I do think that's all we've got time for. If you are going to be around on Saturday, make sure to follow us because we'll be live streaming the event. If you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really does help us out.